It's mind-blowing how much money a single book has the ability to make on Amazon KDP. And I'm not even kidding when I say that I found a simple children's coloring book making over $80,000 a month, a dog training book for kids making over $3,700 per month, and a motivational journal making around $2,700 each month. Now, obviously, these results are not typical, and you should never go into publishing expecting a book to make thousands of dollars per month. But that's one of the things about publishing on Amazon that I love. You never really know what could take off. But if one of the books you publish, there's something you absolutely need to understand. How do you actually get paid? Because just because someone pays you $15 for a book doesn't mean you're putting $15 in your pocket. Amazon has different royalty structures depending on whether you're selling an ebook, paperback, hardcover, or earning money through Kindle Unlimited. So in this video, I'm going to break down how Amazon KDP royalties actually work, how you can estimate what you'll make before you even publish your book, and then later in the video, I'm going to take you into the back end of my KDP account and show you an actual royalty report so you can see how I review my own earnings. So let's start with ebooks. When you publish a Kindle ebook through Amazon KDP, Amazon gives you two options, 35% and 70%. Now that doesn't necessarily mean you can choose 70% for every single book at every single price point in every marketplace because Amazon does have eligibility requirements. With the 35% option, the basic calculation is 35% of your list price after applicable VAT. One advantage of the 35% option is that Amazon doesn't deduct ebook delivery costs from the royalty calculation. Obviously, the 70% royalty sounds a lot better, and if you qualify for it, earning 70% over 35% can make a significant difference. But there's a few things you need to understand. With the 70% option, Amazon calculates your royalty based on your list price minus applicable VAT and delivery cost. Those delivery costs are based on the file size of your ebook. Amazon says the delivery cost is around 6 cents per unit, although that can vary depending on the size of your file. And this is something you especially want to pay attention to if you're creating an ebook with a lot of images, because those images can increase the file size. If you're finding this video helpful and you're serious about learning publishing or you want to know how to sell more books, come join my KDP publishing community. You'll get access to author trainings, publishing and marketing resources, challenges, and a community of authors who are actually putting in the work. Click that link below and come and join us. Another important thing to understand is that the 70% royalty doesn't necessarily apply to every customer around the world. Amazon has specific territories that qualify for the 70% royalty, and if someone purchases your ebook from outside of one of those eligible territories, that particular sale might earn the 35% royalty instead. So don't automatically look at the ebook price and multiply it by 70% and assume that's exactly what you're going to receive every single time. Now let's talk about another way your ebook can make money, and that's through KDP Select and Kindle Unlimited. KDP Select is a free 90-day program specifically for Kindle ebooks. And when you enroll your ebook in KDP Select, Amazon automatically includes that ebook in Kindle Unlimited, and your book can also become eligible for promotional tools like Kindle Countdown deals and free book promotions. This can actually be a really powerful tool when you're launching a new book because you're creating another way for people to discover and read it. Kindle Unlimited works differently from a normal ebook sale. Kindle Unlimited subscribers can borrow your book as part of their subscription, and as they actually read your book, you can earn money based on the number of eligible normalized pages that they read. Amazon calls these KENP, or Kindle Edition Normalized Pages. Amazon creates a KDP Select Global Fund each month, and your Kindle Unlimited earnings are essentially based on your share of the eligible pages read. The amount you earn per page isn't a permanent fixed number either. It can change from month to month depending on the fund and the total reading activity. This is one of the reasons why I think KDP Select can be such an interesting strategy for certain books. You're creating another opportunity for someone to discover and consume your book without necessarily convincing them to purchase the book first. And when you are launching a brand new book that doesn't have a huge audience behind it yet, getting more people into that book can be incredibly valuable. However, there is a drawback that you absolutely need to understand before enrolling. KDP Select requires digital exclusivity during the enrollment period. You're agreeing to keep the digital version of that book exclusive to Amazon while it's enrolled. So you can't enroll your book in KDP Select and then take that ebook and start selling it through other ebook marketplaces at the same time. KDP Select works in 90-day enrollment periods. So if your strategy is to distribute your ebooks widely across multiple retailers, KDP Select might not be the best fit. On the other hand, if Amazon is your primary focus and you want access to Kindle Unlimited and the additional promotional tools, there can be some really compelling reasons to test it. Now, let's move over to where my books typically make most of their money, and that is through paperback sales. I like having multiple formats available because different customers have different preferences. But I also sometimes strategically set up my pricing so that the paperback becomes the more appealing option. What I might do is price my ebook a little higher than what somebody would typically expect to pay for an ebook. And then that way they look at the paperback and realize, well, for only a few more dollars, they can get an actual physical version of the book. Especially if we're talking about a workbook, a journal, or instructional book, or something that people actually want to write in or reference repeatedly, suddenly that paperback becomes much more of an attractive purchase. Paperback royalties work differently from ebooks because Amazon actually has to manufacture your book. One of the great things about Amazon KDP is that it's print on demand. So you don't have to order 500 books and have boxes sitting around your house hoping that somebody buys them. When somebody orders your paperback on Amazon, Amazon prints the book and fulfills the order. But printing your book costs money, and that printing cost is going to affect how much you can ultimately make from each sale. For books sold through Amazon marketplaces, you're essentially looking at your royalty rate multiplied by your list price, and then Amazon subtracts the pricing cost to determine your royalty. Another important thing to understand is that Amazon's paperback royalty rate can currently be at either 50% or 60%, depending on your book's list price and the marketplace. On Amazon.com in the US, for example, books priced at $9.99 or higher currently qualify for 60% royalty, while books at $9.98 or lower receive the 50% royalty rate. So your pricing strategy can actually affect more than how much the customer pays. It can affect the royalty percentage you're receiving as well. You also need to factor in the actual cost of printing your book, your page count, the type of ink you're using, whether you're doing black and white or color, your marketplace, and certain book specifications can all play a role in your printing cost. And this is especially important for things like children's books and coloring books because color printing can dramatically change the economics of a book. A short black and white book is going to have a very different printing cost than a 300-page premium color book. And this is where I really like to play around with Amazon's printing cost and royalty calculator. It is a great, simple to use tool, and I recommend using it before you finalize the price of your book. You can go into the calculator and select whether you're creating a paperback or hardcover, and then you can select your interior type, whether it's black ink or it's one of the color options. Enter your trim size, your page count, and your primary marketplace, and the price you plan to list your book for. Amazon will then give you a breakdown that helps you understand your estimated printing cost, minimum list price, and your royalty. So let's say I'm doing a black and white paperback that is a 6x9 trim size and 150 pages that I plan to sell on Amazon.com for $15.99. When I plug those numbers into the calculator, my estimated royalty comes out to around $6.79 per book. Now you can start doing the math and seeing why understanding royalties becomes so important. Because if you're making approximately $6.79 every time you sell a copy, and you sell 100 copies, that's roughly $679 in estimated royalties. Sell 500 copies, and you're looking at $3,395. And that's just from one title. This is why I encourage people to think beyond simply asking, how much should I charge for my book? Instead, I want you to ask yourself, what does my royalty look like at this price? Because sometimes increasing your book price by a couple of dollars can make a pretty significant difference in what you're actually earning from every sale. If you find this calculator helpful, don't worry, I'm going to drop a link in the description down below the video so that way you can find it and access it quickly and start playing around with the numbers for yourself. And if you're learning something here today, make sure that you come back to this video after you use the calculator and leave me a comment telling me what your estimated royalty is. And I'd love to be able to see what kind of numbers you're working with based on the book that you're planning to create. Now, there's one other book format that you can earn royalties from, and that's hardcover books. I personally don't sell a ton of hardcovers. Depending on the title, I might get 1 or 2 hardcover sales per month. I don't necessarily expect them to be a major source of income, but I still like having the option available because some people simply prefer hardcover books, and those customers are often willing to pay more for them. The important thing to remember is that hardcovers cost more to manufacture. So let's go back to the royalty calculator and run the numbers again. This time, I'm going to change the book type from paperback to hardcover, and I'm going to leave the trim size, page count, and price the same. When I run those numbers again using our $15.99 price, my estimated royalty drops all the way down to $2.14, and that's a huge difference from what I was making with the paperback. And this is exactly why I love using the cover calculator. If I simply created the hardcover and gave it the same price as my paperback without checking those numbers first, I could end up making significantly less money every time somebody buys it. So instead, I can increase the price of the hardcover to compensate for those higher printing costs. So now let's change that hardcover price from $15.99 to $22.99. And when I run the calculation again, my estimated royalty comes out to around $6.34. Now I've created a premium format for customers who want it while bringing my estimated royalty much closer to what I'm making from the paperback. And this is really the biggest thing I want you to take away from this part of the video. Don't price your books blindly. Understand your royalty structure before you publish. Look at what you'll make from your ebook. Decide whether KDP Select and Kindle Unlimited make sense for your strategy. Look at your paperback printing cost. Experiment with different list prices in the calculator. And if you're offering a hardcover, make sure you're accounting for those higher manufacturing costs. Because ultimately, the goal isn't simply to sell books. The goal is to build a catalog of books that actually make money. And there's one more important thing that you should know about your royalties. The money you earn today isn't necessarily going to hit your bank account tomorrow. Amazon KDP generally pays royalties every 60 days after the end of the month in which the sale was reported, while the expanded distribution royalties are genuinely paid approximately 90 days after the end of the month. So there is a delay between generating royalties that actually generating the royalties and receiving the money. So now that you understand where your Amazon KDP royalties actually come from, I want to show you what all of this looks like with real numbers. So let's jump into the back end of an Amazon KDP and take a look at an actual royalty report. So I'm going to show you how I review my earnings, where you can see which books are making money, how you can break down your royalties by format, and what I personally look at when I'm trying to understand the performance of my books. So let's jump into the KDP dashboard and take a closer look. Okay, so I just wanted to jump over to the back end to give you a little bit of a tour for those of you who don't know what it looks like. So when you are on the back end of, let's say, kdp.com, right? So before I take you here, you'll go into your reports area, and then when you go into your reports, what you want to do is come down to royalties estimator. So this is where you are going to be able to see your date range, which books. You'll be able to see how much royalties you've made. You can change your start date and your end date to whatever range that you want to take a look at. There's quite a lot of filters that are on here for all the different books you have published or what author names you publish under. You can select all your different books if you want to specifically look at one book and how much money one book is making. You can even drill down into marketplaces. I mostly just promote my books on Amazon.com, so United States is my main marketplace. You can even drill into what formats are selling and get more insights around that. And then you can also take a look at what your KNEP rate is. That's your readers that we talked about earlier. You can download this report. You can get it in quite a few different numbers of ways. You can even look at, on the left-hand side, there are other reports that you can look at as well, which you can look at your KNP report. This is how many reads, how many pages read of your book for the said time frame that you have selected. So you're going to find that also helpful here to see, and you can go down and you can look at it for each one of your books. You can also go in and you can look at your statements and see, okay, well, how much did I earn prior month royalties? So this was August, but I could go back and say July, right? And it could show me, okay, how much did I earn in ebook royalties, audiobook royalties, paperback royalties, right? And so you can see how it adds up pretty quickly, and then how many KENP reads that you have. So the back end reporting is really helpful overall. There's a lot of things that you can see. You can even go into, what's your promotions, month to date. You can get a look at that, your orders. There's just a lot that you can play around with in here. And so I suggest, if you are just getting started, this is something that you'll want to do, is to play around with your reports. Check your reports on a regular basis. See, if you are getting sales, check it every couple of days, look at your reports. But this is where you would find the information to see if you are getting sales or not. And then on your main dashboard, it can show you today, yesterday, this month, how many reads, how many orders are you getting. Again, you can download those reports and it will show you a good amount of details on that. But I hope that this little crash course on how you earn royalties and how you view these reports have been helpful for you. And I would really appreciate it if you can make sure that you like and subscribe to this video so I can continue to share great content with you.